You've been in the industry?
30 years.
30 years, and this is the worst it's been. Mm-hmm. Why?
I think that there's other jobs out there that pay more, and they're attracting people out of teaching. Previously, people would go to university to get a degree, get a good job, get good money. Nowadays, the kids have got a raft of opportunities out there. The economy is doing well, and there's a lot more pay out there in other professions.
And what, teacher pay hasn't moved with the times? Or?
Well, the Minister will say it's increased 17% over the last 8 years of national government, but in reality we need something like 30% increase to bring it back to the 1979 level.
Yeah, and house prices have doubled. So you can talk about 17% increase, but house prices have doubled in that time as well, actually in about 7 years. And so teachers are fleeing Auckland, are they? Teachers
are leaving Auckland. We've got an ageing teacher population, so teachers are resigning at a rate of about 10% of teachers are resigning each year, and teachers are being lured away to other professions to get more money.
You've got a nephew that's in an apprenticeship at the moment, building apprenticeship. And what do they pay him?
So he's getting $30 an hour in a second year of his building apprenticeship.
So $30 an hour as an apprentice. And what does a teacher make after 3 or 4 years?
Well, that's around about $60,000 a year. And a teacher at the top of their game gets around about 70,000, and that's after about 5-6 years in the profession.
What does a starting teacher get?
Starting teachers around about 43,000.
So 43,000 after how many years of study?
4.
Okay, so 4 years of study, a big student loan, and then 43,000 to live in a market, say Auckland, which is just pumping at the moment with house prices at an average of $1.03 million. Yet your nephew, second year apprentice builder, is on the equivalent of, say, 60,000 with no student loan.
Exactly.
Well, how do we incentivise this?
Yeah, that's the big question, and that's the one that the ministry is grappling with at the moment.
Yeah, but they were warned, weren't they? I mean, 3 years ago, and I think we had you here recently, actually, Kevin, and you guys warned the ministry 3 years ago of this impending problem, did you? What did you tell them?
So we knew then, when you've got inner city schools that were getting 200 plus applicants for a job, that dropped down to 10, 15 applicants for a job. We told them then that there was a crisis about to hit. And we are now at that crisis point.
Okay, and what's the worst case scenario for some of these schools? Are they facing how many job vacancies in these schools?
Some schools have had up to 9 vacancies. They have been able to fill some of those. The problem now is that we've got the 4th term, and a lot of schools have planned early, and so have hit the market early and grabbed as many people as they can.
Are there some kids that go to school today without teachers, or even relief teachers?
Relief teachers are very, very hard to find. We across Auckland need around about 1,000 relief teachers a day, and we're hitting about 60-70% of that. So schools are having to put their management team back into classroom, pull people off release, etc., etc.
Are there any instances where 2 or 3 classrooms are joined together because
Absolutely.
you haven't?
Through this year, there have been a number of schools that have had 3 classes of students with 2 teachers and a teacher of 8.
So it could be that you have 90 kids together in one classroom.
Yeah,
or
70, 80 kids. Yeah.
Okay, so classrooms of 70 or 80 with 2 people at the front.
With 2 teachers, 2 qualified teachers and a teacher 8.
And did they learn anything? I mean, how hard is that to manage?
Well, they will learn, but it's not the quality education the government wants us to produce.
And Kevin, what kind of schools are affected? Are they the lower decile group or?
Low deciles are really, really hard to staff, but at the moment it's right across Auckland.
And what about the fact last year I interviewed some teachers, they couldn't afford to live in Auckland, so they're living an hour or 2-hour drive out of Auckland. They have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to make it to class. What impact is that having on the actual teachers and being able to teach with that sort of tiredness?
Well, there's 4 hours of teacher prep time that's taken out of their day. And teachers do. Everybody thinks, teaching's a 9-to-3 job. It's not a 9-to-3 job, it's an 8-to-5 job. Plus, most teachers will do work at home after dinner or whatever.
What's the answer here? Okay, so you can talk about higher salaries and that sort of thing, but we need to train teachers. And I look at some of the numbers, and as of 2015, I got the latest numbers there. There was something like 4,000 fewer teacher trainees in 2015 compared to 2012. So you bring all these people into New Zealand, half of them stay and settle in Auckland. We're talking immigrants here, and then we're not training and building the infrastructure, the schools, hospitals, and training the teachers. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It's a perfect storm for Auckland.
Okay.
And what we're going to, for the economy to be strong, we need an educated workforce. If we don't have an educated workforce, we don't have a strong economy.
No, but it's not as easy as say, oh, well, let's just pay teachers more, because you don't have the teachers in the system coming through.
No, true. So back in the 90s, when we were facing a bit of a shortage, they brought teachers in from overseas. They went over to the UK and they recruited.
Right, so we're now talking immigration. We're talking about bringing teachers in, people that we need. And this is where immigration works for a country, isn't it? When you go out there and source the people you need, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. Some of those ones that came in the 90s, they only stayed for 5 years, but it saw us through the shortage. Some have stayed, and some of them are still in the profession and doing very well in the profession.
Okay, so you're now urging this next government, this new government, which may want to cut immigration to the bone, you're urging them to say, hey, reach out there and bring in immigrant teachers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We need to do that, and that can't happen until the new government forms, because obviously there's a cost to doing that, and the government has to approve that.
Do you know of schools today, and what's the time now? 19 minutes after 7. So when the bell goes off at 9 o'clock, so an hour and 41 minutes time, do you know schools today that kids will turn up without teachers?
Not at the moment. None of them have come to me, but there are definitely principals out there that will be very, very cautious going through this term, because they know that if a teacher resigns through this term, then they're going to be struggling to fill that position for the start of next year.
And so principals and management are going into the front of the classrooms at this stage, because you can't get the relievers either.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good luck sorting this one.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not a quick fix on this one. I'd love to hear from teachers as well. Feedback at the amshow.co.nz. 70 or 80 kids in front of a couple of teachers. It's world class. Coming up 20 minutes after 7.